Hey, welcome everyone to the Chronologically Gaming pre-show. This is Chronologically Gaming, where we play every video game in order of release. And if you're here early, then you're in for a treat. This is the pre-show, where we talk about games. We talk about what we've been doing. We talk about other consoles, systems you've been playing. You also get a chance to ask me any questions. This is also a sound check before the main event. What will happen? We are checking out every single system in order of release. We don't shy away from systems in certain regions or releases. I know I'm from North America, but releases all over the world are shown here in order of release, and we just go as if there's this giant timeline. We just keep going. Howdy, Brad. Welcome in. We also play everything that's possible. Everything that's possible to emulate, and even if we cannot emulate it, we're now just pointing out and saying this exists, and go from there. Hey, welcome, Brian. Happy Tuesday. Let's get in and play some games. Hi, GSE Stream. Oh, fantastic, Jeremiah. There's a few times that there's games I have a little nostalgia for, but then there is because we play everything, I come across games I've never been familiar with and get a chance to experience it. And so there's been some times where a game I've never heard of before, someone loves, and they show up and chat about it. I love it. Yes, GSE Stream. Right now we still don't know what you're talking about. December 1982, there's only a small hush on the finance department of Atari that there's something awry. Other than that, though, there's nothing public. We're actually going to get through all of 83. By the time we get nearing the end of 83 is when we're going to apparently experience it in North America. But other than that, everything's just great. Video games have never been better. We've been reading magazines, and the culture, the energy, everything's awesome. We're all good here now. For now. Oh, yes, and the two-player mode is really what is going to sell it. I do not have a guest with me tonight to play with me, so just pretend. Hi, M. Tiski. Welcome in. This is the pre-show. We do a little bit of a sound check. You also get a chance to ask questions live, proving that I'm not artificial intelligence, and this show really is a live show. I'm in a studio, sort of, filming, being able to go about this crazy quest. That's right, GSE Stream. We don't know anything about any crash. Nothing's crashing. Everything's going up, up, up right now. More and more games. More and more consoles. More and more systems. Nothing could possibly go wrong. There are some games, especially when the ones we played in the 70s, that did assume that, Brad, that you had to have a friend to play with. Nowadays, well, at least now in December 1982, there's plenty of games that are single player and you have a computer to play against. I'm amazed we're already seeing the sports games that have a computer that you can play against. It's great. Yes, two-player. There you go, Brian. Mystery Science Theater 3000. Yes, that's kind of what I'm doing. Maybe I should make myself all black, like the guys at Mystery Science Theater 3000. I really enjoy that. It kind of turns out that way when we watch commercials. I need to maybe switch the way it looks. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing too, Brian, about the whole crash. Because, yeah, if you're in other countries, you really didn't experience anything, or you had different things. I've heard in Japan they called it something like Atari shock is what they refer to it as. Because it did affect a few things, but most consumers, not really. Not too much, at least in other countries. Yeah. Well, tonight's going to be a really fun one. Got surprising games you may not have seen or heard of. That's usually what it is. Everyone sees the thumbnail, knows what the main event or the bigger game or more impressive game is going to be, but no one really knows what the other games are. And tonight's going to be very fun, very surprising. Whenever you bought it in 83? Yeah. No idea. I think they had a deal too in 83 that was going on. We've been looking at ads, but we don't know anything about it. All right, it's showtime. Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Too good to be true, and too many video games are out there. We're continuing right where we left off. We are done with the beginning of December 1982. Let's keep diving even deeper into December 1982 and see what video games we find. And we were last in the arcades in Japan, checking out the launch and the release of Xevious, the true game, the first game in the series, really big, which means it might be all downhill from here. Let's see what our next video game release is. We're going to hang out in Japan a little bit longer and play on the Sharp X1 home computer. This is pinball. Just pinball. It is kind of cool because of what this is. This is one of the first games that were available to play on the Sharp X1. It's the third game that we've seen so far on Chronologically Gaming after Super Frental and Super Phobos. Was this the very first game you played on the Sharp X1? It's not ours, but it may be yours. But look at this. That Hudson B means this is very, very special. This is a game by Hudson Soft. I'm really excited to see what Hudson Soft does with pinball. It's the 11th time we've seen Hudson Soft on the show, and there's most likely way more games than this because the rabbit hole of Hudson Soft goes deeper than anything I've ever thought possible. Before they even had commercial releases, Hudson Soft was releasing type-in games in magazines in Japan. So I don't even think we've covered every video game. Truthfully, I'm doing the best I can. There's most likely way more games out there besides this. They've done things like Aldebaran and all-cast Star Trek. So there's more and more surprises for Hudson Soft out there, and I'm sure we'll see more of them. Look at the front of this box. By the way, this really isn't a box. This is the cassette case. It has the developer right there on the front. This is Mikio Ueyama. And it's the first time we've ever seen them on the show. They're going to end up going on to do games on the TurboGrafx 16 like Bonk's Adventure, Blazing Lasers, and Air Zonk. This is maybe not the very first game they did because I think they did type-in games too for magazines, but still really early when it comes to video games of this vintage. It's so cool. This is a game that you can see. There's the breakdown of seeing it on a cassette. Because in December 1982, you played video games on cassette. Don't put this in your Walkman. Don't listen to it. It's a video game. To play this game, you have to have BASIC, and you have to have Hudson's BASIC or Hue BASIC. Otherwise, the game won't run at all. And we have an example of the screenshot. We've seen what HAL Laboratory has done with pinball, so I'm excited to see what Hudson Soft does with pinball. This is by Hudson. It is December 5th, 1982, and it's pinball. Here we go. This game is not going to load for us at all because you have to load BASIC first, or it's going to error out. And so what I'm going to do is, usually I do a save state or I snapshot what this is, but I'm not going to do it this time. I'm going to actually show you a little bit of the load, and we're going to fast forward through because, like we've seen with other computers, we have to go into... Oh, hold on. It just crashed on me when I tried to put in BASIC. There are some computers that do not have BASIC installed already, or they have a cartridge system that you have to use to get BASIC in. And so this is no exception. This is, you have to load BASIC separately on disk, on floppy disk, and then after you load BASIC, then you can load the cassette after that. Not the first time we've seen it, but understanding, like we did with the holiday game by Atari on the Atari home computer, loading right now is just terrible. All right, here we go. Now let's go. Ready? Hit it. Go into the file manager. We're going to insert our floppy disk for BASIC. After we load BASIC, then we reset the system. And after we reset, now it's going to allow us, after BASIC loads, to load the game on cassette. So cumbersome. But I want to give you a little bit of what it feels like to load games right now. It's pretty easy, though. I mean, after you know the command, it's load. We've seen this before, and I'm not going to bore you with the load sequence. Cassettes did load a very long time. We are fast forwarding. It will find pinball for us. And you can see there it says it's Sharp and Hudson that did it. One of the reasons they did this in Japan is they allowed other companies to make their own BASIC, and this is the same thing. Okay, and then let's run. And then the same thing, it's still not done yet. We still have to keep loading. Keep going. Faster, faster. And there it is. All right, now we are playing some pinball. This is a single player only game. The 1, 2, 3, and 4th position that you see there on the right side is not for 4 different players. It's just one player. So this is the 30th time we've ever seen a video pinball game on Chronologically Gaming. It's the 14th that we've seen so far across all home computers. One of the first ones we ever saw was pinball in 1980 on the TRS-80 color computer. And since then, we played several different ones on home computers since then. So let's just try it out. The first thing I noticed is we have played with joysticks on the Sharp X1. This one doesn't respond to any joystick controls. Nothing. It's going through a demo mode right now. Let's get started. Space key. And then right here, it's just telling us if you push the number 2, you can decide the pressure of the start of the ball. So right now, I'm just going to pick 4 and then space key. And we get a little ditty reminiscent of some of the first arcade games we've ever seen. And down at the bottom, you can see there's my flipper movement. Oh man, this is rough. This is so rough. Look at the way the ball's moving. The physics is it's bewildering. But I have 2 different options. They said in the controls, and if you look in the top right of the screen, it has the number 8. If you do that, it uses both flippers at the same time. But otherwise, you use 4 for the left flipper and 8 for the right. I don't know how that... Why didn't that go in the gutter? It should have. But yes, it is... The ball looks a little erratic, or it's changing its position. Now, if you look at the history of video pinball since we've seen, since the 70s, this is very reminiscent of some of the first titles we ever had because they had to... Can we go with this one? Yeah, let's do it. Because they weren't familiar with the physics of the ball. And I said this when we played some of the first video pinball. Most people would just want to go to the arcade and play real pinball rather than video pinball. This one is giving me those vibes because this is pretty rough and it's very, very slow. I guess that makes sense because why would you want to do pinball on BASIC? The really, really good ones we've seen have been in machine language or programmed in a way that's, oh yes, someone's saying we've seen better physics, and yes, we have. And it looks like it's moving sideways or jumping to different places. If you look on the left, there's a little frog that'll give us some bonus points. But this is the only board. What you see here is the pinball. I still love the fact that we are seeing Hudson Soft this early in the life of the company. And there's the B, there's the Hudson Soft copyright. I need to double check the other titles we've seen because I think we've seen the B before, but I can't confirm. But it's awesome. This game, though, is not. There's better games of video pinball we've seen on other home computers up to this point. I, of course, say if you only had the Sharp X1 and this was the only game you were playing, you'd find enjoyment in this because you'd figure out the physics and you'd actually not play the game based on what you think pinball should be. You'd be playing the game based on how this game interprets pinball. And you'd love it. You'd rack up high scores. You can see on the right side, it is calculating my high score and the number of lives I have left. And it does have 4 slots to retain a temporary high score, just like the arcade. So pretty cool. But I'd say if you want to think of the other titles we've seen so far in Chronologically Gaming, some of the best pinball we've seen on all home computers up to this point, you need to turn to Bill Budge. Bill Budge started with doing a pinball game on the Trilogy of Games compilation, and then after that, he did the game Raster Blaster, and then more recently, very brand new, is the Pinball Construction Set. That is the best of the best, the cream of the crop way to play video pinball, and I mean anywhere, including arcade. Some of the arcade games have mixed together pinball and breakout. This one is real pinball. It's not trying to do breakout, which is kind of cool, but at the same time, it's just so rough. The response time, even the flipper, like whenever we played the other 2 games so far for the Sharp X1. This one is not doing the computer justice. For a brand new computer, it wouldn't sell systems. I don't see this in a demo store selling anything. There's also Night Mission Pinball that we've seen, and I mentioned HAL Laboratory, and I was excited to see what Hudson Soft would do. HAL Laboratory had a game called Pinball Spectacular. That was excellent. It was a very, very good pinball game. This one, I cannot say the same, and I don't see how much enjoyment you would get if you compare it to the other video games you could play across other home computers. I'm going to include a link down below where if you want to check out more video footage of this game, it'll all be in Japanese, so have a translator or translate it the best you can. But I would say this game is on the lower end of video games for home computers. Just because it's for pinball, you have to have good physics. You have to have a good response time, and this doesn't have it. I'm already seeing people live on the show throwing out their ratings. Brian saying 1.5 stars of all the games that you could play up to this point. I wanted to give a high score, or at least have it go on the table. But I'll just say that of all the games we've seen so far, there's worse pinball on home computers. This is not as bad as pinball we saw on the RCA Studio 2. This is not as bad as Nova pinball that we saw on the TRS-80 color computer. Am I already done? Is that? Yes, I think that's it. Is that the high score? Darn, already? I already got the high score and then had to finish the game. So I would still say it's not as bad as pinball on the APF Imagination machine. But I would say that Bally Pin on the Astrocade was better than this game. Pinball on the Acorn Atom was better than this game. I'd rather play pinball on the Enterton VC4000 home console, and I'd rather even play Thunderball on the Odyssey 2 than this pinball. So of all the video games you could play across all home computers, I'm looking, oh wow, there's a 2.5 that's out there by Intisky of all the games that'd be around the average range. And then I have some 2 stars, which is in the bad range, 1.5 to 2. Oh man, I got a janky. Yep, it's pretty janky, that's right. 2 stars. I'm actually conceding there's 4 2 stars that are in the chat. I'm actually thinking the same. It's a 2-star game of all the games you could play across all home computers. It's in the bad range, and there is better, but it's not as low as some of the other unplayable games. This one, you could find some enjoyment in. Someone must love it out there somewhere. All right, after that, let's see what our next game is after this commercial break.
I'm John Madden for CBS
Hey, it's John Madden.
I've got a great money-back offer for you.
Oh, he's got it for me? Thanks.
Competition in the CBS Video Games Challenge of Champions.
Ooh.
Today's challengers, arcade aces, Tony Sarkis against Ray Johnson.
I want to be in that.
Wizard of War, new from CBS Video Games.
Look at that.
The object, defeat the wizard, his henchmen.
I wonder where those kids are now.
Tony hits one. He misses right.
Can you imagine having John Madden call your game of Wizard of War?
Wizard of War, new from CBS Video Games.
Are you up to the challenge?
You've seen how
yeah.
challenging Wizard of War is. Now we'll bet
But
you
wait,
money
there's more.
back that Wizard is tougher than you are. Buy it, and after 3 days, if
No
you think
way.
otherwise, return it to your participating dealer with your receipt and get your money back. How can we make this money back offer? Because we know how tough this game is.
Oh.
But maybe you're not up to the challenge.
That's amazing. Quick, we got to get on this now before the end of January 1983. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Wizard of War, the next video game release in our crazy journey to play every single video game, now on the Atari 2600. Let's check it out. We originally saw Wizard of War in late 1980 in the arcades, and in August 1982, we saw Wizard of War released for the Commodore Max machine in Japan. And we also saw The Incredible Wizard on the Bally Astrocade. Anybody remember this one? Of the 2 ways so far that you could play this at home, this way is the better way to play Wizard of War, in my opinion. This marks the 196th game we've seen so far on the Atari 2600. And if you think that's a lot of games, yes, it is. It's too many games for the Atari 2600. There's a lot that this box has. It's got a lot of the artwork from the arcades. Very, very well done. The special home version by Bally Midway. This is the 31st time we've seen Dave Nutting Associates do anything on Chronologically Gaming. In the arcade, they brought us games like Baby Pac-Man, Wizard of War, which was Incredible Wizard, Seawolf, Gunfight, and at home they've done a lot of games for the Bally Astrocade, and we've seen a few that they've done for home computers. This is the second game by Dave Nutting Associates that they've done on a home console after Gorf, so we have seen Gorf already. And then the CBS, I guess that's why John Madden was involved. CBS Electronics, this is the 7th game we've seen they've been involved in. They did Othello on the Texas Instruments home computer, Donkey Kong on the Atari 2600, Smurf on the ColecoVision, Zaxxon on the Atari, Carnival on the Atari, and Gorf on the Atari. And Bally Midway, it's the 13th time we've seen them, and their first game that's official Bally Midway on a home console. Flip over the back of the box, you can see it's for 1 or 2 players, and don't forget that. That's really what makes this work well. Outwit and outshoot the wizard in the dreaded dungeons of war. not W-A-R. This is war, as in W-O-R. And Jeremiah, we got someone in the live chat already throwing out ratings. Go for it. I love it. Survive the dungeon. You must outshoot and vaporize all rewards. Oh, I want to read the manual and learn about all the strange names they gave everything. Here's the other artwork we have for Wizard of War. Besides the box, we have the advertisement with John Madden. Yes, John Madden was selling games at the end of December 1982, early January. So cool. The challenge of games. And there it is, Gorf and Wizard of War. And he explains the game plan. Way before Madden football was a thing. Even football in general, video games are very rare. And I think because John Madden didn't want to get involved because they didn't include all the players yet. At least the ones we've seen. Here's a really crazy looking one from France for Wizard of War. Incredible. Who is that guy? Someone dressed up as one of the warriors. You can see they got the kid playing the game with a screenshot. Very good. Way to go, France. Way to go. Also, are you a warrior? This is one of the medallions or pins that you may have won or could have won at the CBS Video Games. Got to get me one of those. Here's the Atari 2600, and the cartridge for the Wizard of War looks a little different. Most of the third-party publishers did their own thing. CBS Electronics is no exception. Get your joystick and go. It shows you how to play the game. And notice it doesn't have anything about switches for difficulty or switching out the game variants. It's just, here's the game. And it shows you to vaporize all the Burr Wars, shoot every Gar War and Thor War, and Warluck. And then we got the fantastic artwork of Wizard of War, taken right from the arcade. Same thing. Looks great, including a screenshot. All right, and here's the manual for Wizard of War. The gameplay instructions. Look at this. So the copyright, and I mentioned copyright and when dates come out because we're really big on release dates. We want to know when the games came out to the day if we can, but it's really difficult to do. Originally, the arcades when we saw it, and then you can see the release date down there, 1982. But when? We had to look at different magazines to find the release dates. I just know it was before the holiday season, and we're getting even closer to the end. First part is setting up your video console. We know what to do. Difficulty switch for B is beginner level. If you set it to A, you get extra sneaky warlings. I think they mentioned 5 different enemies so far. For the game select switch, you can do a 1 or 2 player game, which is kind of nice. Then you reset the system and you go. Welcome to the mystical kingdom of war. You've been placed in command of an elite squadron of warriors, assigned the task of outwitting the sinister Wizard of War. As you descend into his diabolical dungeons, you will encounter deadly warlings, and maybe even the wizard himself. Your only weapons are your trusty laser. Wait, laser? So this is blending different genres? That's how it was in the arcade, too. Your radar scanner and your agility and cunning. You will need them all as you attempt to beat the wizard and earn the title of Warlord. Prepare now and let the battle begin. I love the manual already. It shows the object of the game is accumulate points. Haven't heard that one before. Destroying the warlings as you encounter and pass through numerous dungeon mazes. The 2-player version you can work with or compete against another warrior commander. And they say commander because you use your lives as if they were troops and send them out, but you're only getting to control one at a time. The multiplayer mode is awesome. This is the 82nd multiplayer simultaneous cooperative video game that we've seen so far on Chronologically Gaming. It's only the 36th multiplayer simultaneous cooperative game that we played on all home consoles up to this point. For the Atari 2600, this is the 13th multiplayer cooperative game that we played. It does have the single player mode as well. Now, when I say cooperative, I don't just mean you're playing together. I mean you're playing together and you can work together. That's a cooperative video game. But this game offers something slightly different. It's very rare to have a cooperative video game where you actually could shoot the other person. You can turn the tables and you can make it a competitive video game. I'm sure everyone remembers multiplayer games where they start out cooperatively, you're playing at the same time, and then you wait like, wait, why did you punch me? Or why did you shoot me? And that's what this game can do. You can do this if you want. If you want to work together, yes, awesome. But most likely you're going to get some jerk that's on the other controller that's going to shoot you and turn it into a competitive game. But it's possible. You can do cooperative if you want. The Warriors and Laser Blasters. You begin the game with a squadron of 3 or 3 lives. Your joystick's maneuvering through the maze. Really simple. You'll figure it out. And you shoot the 1 red button to fire at the enemies. You have dungeons and warlings. There's all the enemies. There we go. Burr Wars, Gar Wars, Thor Wars, Warlocks, and the Wizard of War. I love how the manuals show you the pixel art or what level of pixel art we're at right now. It looks awesome. Got some special features. They break down the screen over here, the escape doors on the sides. Very similar to Pac-Man, where you warp on each side. Actually, the whole thing's very similar to Pac-Man, top-down maze game. You got a radar scanner at the very bottom, so a mini-map showing you where enemies are, because sometimes they will be invisible or go between visible and invisible. And then it breaks down warling clusters. The game ends when your last warrior succumbs to the supreme power of the wizard's forces and is destroyed. And yes, 2 players can travel through each dungeon at the same time if they want to. The right one controls the yellow warrior and the left one controls the blue one. And each warrior destroyed of the opposing one is 1,000 points. So you actually get a lot of points for shooting the other player. And then there's our scores up at the top, right here above my head. The warriors are 1,000. Okay, it's not too bad. The Wizard of War is higher. And then they give you some strategy hints. Don't shoot without having a plan to hit something. Otherwise, you may not be able to shoot when you have to. Good advice. Loving the manual. Loving the artwork. Bring on more pixel art like that. It's great. This was available in PAL regions and in North America. We're going to play the first one. Here in North America, this is Wizard of War. It's December 5th, 1982. This is CBS Electronics giving us John Madden's Wizard of War. Not Madden football in the least. So this was originally done by, where's my guy? Joe Hellison. Way to go, Joe. It's the 3rd time we've seen Joe on the show. He did Deluxe Invaders and Pac-Man, both on the Atari home computer. And if he did that, we like those, so this is going to be great. I'm hitting reset. I'm not going to change the difficulty switches, and I'm doing a 1-player game. I'm on the right side of the screen. Start off with my yellow or gold warrior. And already I'm getting vibes of the arcade. So cool. Looks and feels the part. These warlings are really easy to take out. Control feels fantastic. If I notice the flickering, though, of the enemies, gives me a little bit of vibes of Pac-Man, but not as bad. It's almost like a feature for this one. Pac-Man felt like it was a bug or an issue. This one actually works all right, and you can tell that they're really pushing the Atari 2600 to some limits. Oh, use that radar. You see him going in and out, phasing in and out of existence. Nice. We got that classic gameplay loop where you just keep going, get the high score. In the bottom right of the screen, I got some of my extra warriors. And for this first round, or the first few rounds, pretty simple because the enemies aren't invisible, and you notice how they get slightly faster. But every time you play, when you get farther and farther, I mean, now we got new enemies that are going to be firing shots at us. Great. Oh, wait. Can we get it before? Oh, he ran away. You gotta be quick. Very nice. So we went from the very, very well done on the Bally Astrocade, the Incredible Wizard, which was excellent, to the Commodore Max Machine version of this, which was a big letdown. Not to be confused with the Commodore 64 version. We're going to see that one later. That had a lot to be desired. And this, compared to that game that we played last, is incredible. Oh man, he phased in and killed me. All right, let's bring out my next warrior. Gotta watch the radar. We got him turning in and out, invisibility. So we got some at the top of the screen here. All right, now where is he? Down the bottom right? Come on. Come out, you! Yes! Oh, great. Great vibes. I love it. So I'm going to keep going on single player mode. I'm going to do a little of multiplayer, even though I want to be able to control both controllers at the same time. But it's important to note really what's out there when it comes to multiplayer or cooperative multiplayer games, because there's not a lot that you could play. On the Atari 2600, some of the other ones we've seen so far have been games like Entombed. Worm War 1 was a good shooter that was cooperative multiplayer. Guardian. Cosmic Arc is fantastic. Demons to Diamonds allows you to play 2 different players cooperatively using paddle controls. And Of course, if you don't want to do a cooperative game, you play with someone that wants to try to hunt you down and shoot you, you can do that too. Oh, I got it. This is very, very well done for a home port, especially on the Atari. Oh, how did I miss him? Okay, oh, he's gonna probably make it. Nope, there's a wizard. No! I didn't time my shot. Let's see if we can get him. Yes! Oh, that's so cool. And more ratings being thrown out. We got Paul throwing out 4.5 stars of all the games you could play across all home consoles. That's awesome. So we would still call these games a arcade maze game, but this is a very special arcade maze game. It's not like Pac-Man. These are games that ask the question, what if you gave Pac-Man a gun? And so we call these arcade maze shooters, where it's just a top-down maze game, but now you can shoot stuff. This is the 39th video game that we played on all systems. That's an arcade maze game with shooting elements, and it's the third we've seen so far on the Atari 2600. After Phantom Tank, Dark Cavern, and some other examples of arcade maze games that are shooters, some of the first were Targ and the sequel Spectar. After that, we saw Tranquilizer Gun, that was in the arcade, Warp and Warp, 005, Crossfire is available on lots of home computers. That's a very well done top-down maze game that's a shooter. Solar Fox is also in the arcade right now. Night Stalker on the Intellivision, which is essentially just Dark Cavern. And it's great. Shooting makes everything better. I'm already enjoying it, having a great time. Alright, so I'm just going to go into the two-player mode and show a little bit of that. Just, I'll be playing back and forth, but here. We'll switch over to 2 players. You can see both modes ready. I'm not going to last too long because I can't fire and shoot at the same time with both players. But 2 players cooperatively is really what's pushing this higher. It's already a really good game when you think of you can play a top-down maze game or Wizard of War at home. And the other games that would even... There's nothing really that comes close on home consoles. There's other maze games for sure. Pac-Man clones are out there all over the place. And let's see if we can shoot a few and then shoot our buddy on the other side. There, ready? Come on out. Yes. Come out of there. Go destroy. And then, bam. They have a special sound whenever you destroy the other player to tell you, you're a jerk. Unless you planned it that way. Ready, go. Oh, works really well. Excellent. Now, if I was going to get picky, Incredible Wizard is still incredible. I would give it the nod as being just slightly better than this version on the Atari 2600. Check that one out because there's a few things that are different compared to from that version to this one. It's lacking, well, obviously it's lacking the voice that, like the arcade version had. Voice had talking in the game, but the Incredible Wizard didn't have that. But it did have the giant, large text over the screen, and it had more elements of the arcade, just a few, that would put it over the top for me. This is still an excellent home game console for all the things that you could be playing up to this point. There is also Turbo Fire, but I don't know why you would want to use Turbo Fire in the game, because, like you can see, I can do it. It's only going to let you fire a shot whenever you get, whenever the shot hits a target or misses, or hits the wall. So you would want to, like they said in the manual, time your shots, be careful, just like we did in the arcade. The size of this cartridge is 4 kilobytes, 4 kilopower. They put all this fun into the standard size for Atari 2600 cartridges right now. We're going to see this game later on the Atari 5200, the Atari home computer, and a Commodore 64 port in 1983. And you know we're going to see all those because we see everything. Thank you for playing Wizard of War. That was great. Very, very well done. So I got a 4.5 I can see over in chat. 4-star from Grim. 5 from Jeremiah. So if you're thinking of all the games you could play right now on all home consoles, if you are rating this in the 4.5 to 5-star range, then you're saying this is one of the best games that you could play across all home consoles. Some people said it was a little harsh on Gorf. that came out that we've already played, but you can definitely see the difference in this game. It is much, much better. 4 stars from Devo Guy, 4 from Grim. We got a 4.5 from J Mogler. So a lot of people saying at least above average. No one said that this is an average console game, which would be around the 3-star range. Yeah, 3.5. Yes, Astrocade does do this better. So I gave the Astrocade version a 4.5, or I think it was 5. I gave that one a 5-star. This one is very, very well done. Has a lot going for it, but I won't go into the range of some of the best games you could play across all home consoles. I'm going to go 4 stars for Wizard of War. As always, if you're seeing this later, let me know in the chat what you think, or send me a line after the show. All right, after that game, what's our very next video game release? It's more on home consoles. This is Attack of the Time Lord on the Magnavox Odyssey 2. And there he is, the Wizard of Odyssey, showing off the voice because we are going to play this game with the voice module. Here's the box for Attack of the Time Lord. This is the 43rd game we've seen for the Magnavox Odyssey 2, not the Philips Video Pack, the European version of this console, and we're not going to see the version for that console yet, because this actually does get ported later. There's 46 games we've seen on the Video Pack up to this point. This is the 43rd for the Magnavox Odyssey 2. The front of this box is awesome. It is already really cool what the Odyssey 2 has done with their marketing and advertisement for the box, and I love it. This is one of the best ones. 4 different kinds of weapons assault you simultaneously, 256 different challenge levels, millions of strategic combinations. Sounds amazing, and you can see it's voice enhanced. Let's flip this over the back. There it is. We have Spyrus the Deathless, some screenshots of the game. Very, very bold. I want to show you exactly what the game is before you get into it. That's really nice. What other artwork do we have for Attack of the Time Lord? Wizard of Odyssey? Does this work with the voice? Besides the box, we have magazine articles or ads you would have seen. You can't turn back the Time Lord. 250 different levels. Wait, that's different from the box. The box didn't say, oh, it said over 250. Okay, I guess that works. And you can see on the Odyssey side, it says there's over 50 games available because I think this ad is 83. And looking at the copyright, I don't think so. We've only seen 43 games for the Odyssey 2, but in truth, we've seen 43 for the Odyssey and then 46 for the video pack, which adds up to a lot of games we've seen. There's the cartridge for Attack of the Time Lord. Everything on the Odyssey 2 has a handle so you can yank it out. If you play any 2-player games where someone's being a jerk, you just pull out that cartridge. Or play nicely. Play nicely with your friends, everyone. There's the example of the screenshot for Attack of the Time Lord. And here's our manual, the official rules. Bring the rules on. Explains how to power on and power off the system. Make sure you know how to use cartridges. We do. Attack of the Time Lord is a 1-player only game. Magnavox knows that you are a nerd and have no friends, and therefore no one will play with you. Or what they expect you to do is they say 1 or more players because it has a way to save your score. You can actually use the keyboard, type your name in after you get a high score, and then they want you to pass the joystick to someone else, and then they play again, which it's just a cheap way to say it's multiplayer, but it's not. It's single player only. You've attracted the attention of the Spyrus Deathless, Time Lord of Chaos, and there he is. I think he's going to yell at us when we get in the game. There's our joystick. On the Magnavox Odyssey 2, we have one action button, very similar to the Atari 2600. And the screenshot, pretty easy to make up. There's our time machine that we're controlling. We have the time warp and time ship. Honestly, though, the theme of time travel really doesn't work here. There's nothing they're doing anything different than other shooters we've seen. So I say Time Zone actually has a true theme of time travel, but here you really can't tell you're doing time travel. Sorry, everyone. So level 1 begins. The Time Lord's fleet of ships are going to bombard you with missiles. You score points for each missile, and if you destroy them all, the game will automatically proceed to level 2. At level 2, they begin to take you seriously. They send fleets of ships armed with missiles and antimatter mines to destroy them. So the game is going to get progressively more and more difficult. There's level 3. A fleet and arsenal carries you with much feared lethal annihilators. Now, take a look at this manual. We've seen this on Magnavox Odyssey 2. They do a really, really good job with all the artwork. The Magnavox Odyssey 2 manuals are incredible. They do a great job having something that would be like an art book to include with the game. Every single one has been like this. Very, very nice. I mean, look at that. Level 4, you've earned the Time Lord's respect. It's a very mixed blessing. The next fleet of legendary nucleonic time killers as part of its weapons. Very, very cool. And as you go through the entire 256 game levels, we're not going to get that far tonight, the Time Lord will deploy weapons like a chess master deploys his pieces. So every time you play another round, it's going to add something slightly different. So in that regard, based on the manual, it says that this game, every time we get to the next screen, we're going to see something or have something new, which is kind of nice. There's the scoring. Memorize those points. It's December 1982. You got to get the high score. And then you get the high score, and you can put your name down. Look at that. David put his name down because you type it in using the keyboard. That's awesome. Way to go, Magnavox. Great manual. Yeah, lots of cool art there. I love it. All right, let's pop in that handled cartridge and play Attack of the Time Lord. Ed Averitt, Linda Averitt. It's December 6th, 1982. Pop this in your game and play it. Well, there's only one game we can play when it says select game. I'm just going to push. Oh my gosh, he's talking to us. Did anyone get scared by the talking games that are coming on consoles? That one actually sounded very similar to the other voice games, at least the educational ones where you can't understand them. Well, this is actually a very impressive number of games we've seen. Ed Averitt, way to go, Ed. This is the 48th game we've seen that Ed Averitt has done so far on Chronologically Gaming. One of the most games of any developer up to this point, but it's a little cheating because Ed Averitt's games were released in North America on the Odyssey 2 and in Europe on the video pack. So it's more like doubled the release just because we played both versions of different of the games in different regions. Some of them were basically identical too. And he gave credit to Linda Averitt because his wife, actually I've heard, didn't have involvement in the game, but she did help him with lots of other things, and he wanted to include her with something. So he actually included her in the credits for this game. I don't know if they had the same amount of involvement like Scott Adams' wife did, Alexis Adams. His wife did have involvement and helped write some of the adventure games that they did. So I don't know if this is a cool, fun husband and wife duo working together on an Attack of the Time Lord. All right, we're getting into this. This single-player only game is very easy to pick up and play. This is perfect for a game to have fun with right now. It is extremely simple. It's a fixed shooter, which means I'm just moving left, I'm moving right, and I'm firing. The controls have a little bit of momentum to them, which is interesting. Whenever I move left and right, I can like tap. This is an 8-way joystick that the Magnavox Odyssey 2 has, but I have momentum where if I hold the joystick, it actually zooms. It starts slow and then picks up speed. So it takes a little bit of getting used to. It's not the same as other fixed shooters we've seen when you move left and right. But I mean, how much can you do with moving left and right? We've seen quite a bit. This marks the 418th fixed shooter we've seen on Chronologically Gaming, which means we've gone left and right and firing and shooting stuff 418 times. And that's all systems. Everything for all video games under the sun up to this point. This is the 57th fixed shooter that we've seen on all home consoles up to this point. Still a lot of moving left, moving right, and firing, for the most part. Most of them have been just moving left and moving right and firing. This is only the third fixed shooter for the Magnavox Odyssey 2. After Alien Invaders Plus and Sid the Spellbinder. Yeah, remember that educational game? That had a fixed shooter mode. Oh, they're speeding up. It's going faster. Oh, the mines. What do I do? Oh, I see. Shoot them before they get down because they're going to home in. Look at that. Oh, that's hard. Okay, something else to note about the way that this controls. The shot that you have allows you only shoot one thing at a time. I can only fire one shot at a time. I do have a turbo, so if I want to hold the button down, I can just let it fire off on its own like this, you can see. However, every time you make a successful shot, when I blow something up, there's a little delay. It waits longer. Like, look, here's my turbo firing. See the speed? Whatever, Time Lord. But watch the speed, and then notice how there's a pause when I hit something. Fire, and then it pauses. pause, fire, 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 and then pause. There's a delay when I do my next shot. So the rhythm for this game feels very different compared to the other fixed shooters we played. I don't know if I'm used to it yet. I could find myself getting used to it just because I love that this is going level by level and adding something to the challenge of the shooter, but it is different. It's not as smooth as the other shooters we've seen, especially for what we've seen for other home consoles. Yeah, and you gotta love that robot speech. It's not doing anything that requires the gameplay. If you didn't have the voice, you'd still be able to play the game just fine. But it is cool. Anything talking is pretty nice. And the colors they put in the game are very, very good. So kind of a slow turbo fire. This game cartridge is also 4 kilobytes in size, so it's again 4 kilopower. They crammed all this game, 256 different skill levels in. Way to go, Ed! It's awesome. All right, and then we also have the voice. This is the 8th game that we've seen that is using the voice. Type and Tell is you have to have the voice to play that one. Casey's Crazy Chase or Crazy Chase and Nimble Numbers Ned, you have to have the voice. You won't be able to play the game. P.T. Barnum's Acrobats uses the voice. Smithereens and Sid the Spellbinder, which in a way, the way the enemy is moving kind of reminds me of the little caterpillar or the creature that was in Sid the Spellbinder. It wasn't a caterpillar, that's right. It looks just like the Dratapillar or similar to the Dratapillar from Casey's Crazy Chase, but the Sid the Spellbinder was something else. It was some kind of other insect. But you get the idea. There's really not anything directly like this game. It has the sci-fi theme going for it, like most other space shooters. Very, very colorful, and it's something we have seen this style of game before plenty of times, but nothing really is being copied. And I always commend video games we see that aren't a direct clone or sequel or variant to something. This one, they're doing something original. It's something new. Chasing something around the screen like this still kind of reminds me of Sid the Spellbinder, but there's also other games we've seen that were fixed shooters that had modes where you're going from one level to another. Astro Smash on the Intellivision or Astro Blast on the Atari 2600 comes to mind, but that one also combined elements of asteroids because they broke apart into pieces. Another thing that's interesting about the game, though, is later in 1983, this game's going to get a license slapped on it and brought to the Philips Video Pack G7400, or the Philips Video Pack Plus. We haven't seen this console yet. And I won't reveal what it is unless you want to look it up yourself, but we will see this released later in Europe with a license. And it'll be kind of the same game, pretty close. But the reason why this doesn't impress as much as you'd think is because there's some really good fixed shooters out there on home consoles we've already seen. Some examples on the Atari 2600, for example, would be Space Invaders. It still kicks. Demon Attack is incredible. Turmoil is available. And really good fixed shooter, Communist Mutants from Space, is available out there using the Supercharger on the Atari 2600. Cosmic Arc is also out right now. Commando Raid, Encounter at L5, Mega Mania, Carnival, Demons to Diamonds, Gorf, Puyon, Threshold. On the Intellivision, their Demon Attack is, I would say, even better, and it's out there right now. On the Creative Vision, there's Sonic Invader. That's fantastic. So, of all the games you could play across all home consoles, it's close to the average range, but I don't want to call it exactly 3 stars. Maybe 3.5, just because it's being original. I would say that this is about the same level as Space Invaders or Galaxian that we saw on the Atari 5200 that's available right now. Or Space Cavern on the Atari 2600. Maybe even the same level as Mega Mania on the Atari 2600. Or Guardian on the Atari 2600. Or Encounter at L5 on the Atari 2600. It's around that level. There we go, nice. Voice is cool too. Yeah, the way the enemies fly is kind of close to Galaga. I see that, that's nice. So I'm seeing some from the chat, mostly 3.5 stars. And I think that's what everybody said. Everyone had 3.5 stars for Attack of the Time Lord, and I'm going to concede. I feel the exact same way. Of all the games you could play across all home consoles, it's a 3.5 star game. What do you know? Well, we're having a blast. In December 1982, let's see what game is next. We're now going to Japan to play a handheld, a Nintendo handheld. This is Greenhouse for the Nintendo Game & Watch. Let's check it out together. Not to be confused with Greenhouse on the Commodore 64, this is a completely different game. This marks the 23rd Nintendo Game & Watch game that we've seen on Chronologically Gaming. This is the multi-screen Game & Watch, the 4th that we've seen to this point. Look at this, flip the Greenhouse over, and there's the other ones. Oil Panic, Donkey Kong, Mickey, and Donald. And here it is. This is the next in the multi-screen series of games. And it's by Nintendo. Nintendo. This is the 42nd Nintendo video game, or a video game that Nintendo's been involved in. They've done 16 games we've seen in the arcades, lots of dedicated consoles, Pong-style consoles and things like that. On the ColecoVision and Intellivision and on the Atari, they have Donkey Kong. They didn't really do it themselves, but they licensed it. And on the Philips Video Pack, we've seen Popeye. But that's it. Imagine a world where we are right now, where Nintendo's only done 42 video games. It's incredible. I already like the box. I'm already excited. I already like Game & Watch. What other artwork do we have for Greenhouse? It's almost like we already know what we're going to get into. There's a reconstructed box. They cleaned it up and made it look nice. Usually whenever we do the 3D box, I like to show off the nitty-gritty or real scan. Yeah, there we go. Nitty-gritty. Ooh, fresh and clean. Direct. I don't even know if that's the direct one from Japan, but there's the system. Your handheld, everything you want, and look at that. The gamepad, the cross in the bottom left, your controller. Oh, it's just making me think of the future of what we're going to have. And I think that's all we got. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's the system. You can close them like a compact system. It's so cool. And we do have the manual for Greenhouse. A little hard to come by. I had to find some scans and post this and create a scan for it. But here's the instructions. Tell us how to play Greenhouse. In the top right, it explains all the different parts. See if I can zoom in a little bit there. Yeah, there we go. The inchworms are going to be at the top. You got flowers, spiders on the bottom screen. It breaks down all the buttons on the right side. You have your plus button. They call the cross or directional pad, as we would call it now. And you only have one other button, the spray button. You have the ladder, and then there's Fumigator. What in the world's Fumigator? Shows you how to put the batteries in, and then you can also set the time because it is Game & Watch. It has an alarm. This is an alarm system. So cool. All right, so how do we play? Flowers are growing in a greenhouse. Bugs attack them. The busy Fumigator runs around with his spray gun trying to kill the bugs and protect the flowers. The game is played on 2 screens. When the Fumigator climbs the ladder, he emerges on the top screen. And then you can see what they would do with the plus button. It shows you how to move around. And I love how they're explaining the plus button, like the directions. So cool. If you push up on the plus button, you climb a ladder. Great. Thanks. And then they show you how to begin the game. You can push game A or game B. Highest previous score will be displayed. Game A is released. So they kind of have a temporary high score going there. Oh, no, Jeremiah, it did not. We've already seen Millipede in the arcade. We've actually seen a Millipede that wasn't in the arcade, but yeah, Inchworms we've already seen. They've already been out as far as video games go. So there's the points over on the left side, and then the misses when a spider inchworm reaches one of the flowers. The operation of the control button shows you how to move the Fumigator around. Wait a second, Fumigator? That doesn't look like the Fumigator. That looks just like Stanley the Bugman. Did they say Stanley anywhere? I don't think so. Fumigator climbs what appears to be the center of the... What? Look at him. Look at the pictures. Now, I know Game & Watch Man that we've seen on the other Game & Watch games. He's like a hybrid version of that, but they added a little more to his character, like his hat and his face. I don't believe it. It's not Game & Watch Man. I know who it really is. If a spider yes, right. It's Donkey Kong 3 before Donkey Kong 3. Wait, we haven't even seen Donkey Kong. That's 1983 in the arcades when we're going to see it. This is the first time we're going to see Stanley the Bugman. He's called the Fumigator here. This is just like Mario. When Mario first came out, we only saw him as the Brave Carpenter on the North American arcade flyer. And of course, he was known as a Jumpman in Japan. And here it is again. They're doing it again. Nintendo. We know what's going on, though, just because we can see the future. All right, let's put that in the palm of our hand and play some Greenhouse. This is Nintendo Research and Development 1. Nintendo's releasing it December 6th, 1982. What did I do? Oh, hold on. I think it crashed on me. Wait a second. Or it froze. Don't freeze on me, handheld, please. Okay, there we go. I think we got it. Much better. Okay, this is Greenhouse. Really excited to show a little bit of how the game's played, and really cool that we saw in the manual who this really is. Most of the time when you first boot the system or have the system in your hand, before you hit reset, it shows you all the screen or how it's supposed to look, because this is LCD. But I'm going to go with Game A and play some Greenhouse. Let's do it. So I'm at the bottom screen with the Fumigator. Move left, right. Here's my movement. Go to the top screen. Looks great. Oh, did the flower eat me? Oh, what? Why did the flower kill me? At the top screen, it shows how many misses you've had. So if the bugs or inchworms at the top get to the flowers on the other side, you'll have a miss. Down at the bottom, there's spiders coming for the flowers on the bottom screen. So you're having to both watch the top screen and the bottom screen at the same time to prevent the spiders from getting to the flowers and prevent the inchworms from getting to the flowers. It is classic handheld. Time-wasting fun, and I gotta admit, I am having fun wasting time playing this. Oh, inchworm got flowers. So we got another miss, got 2 misses, 3 misses, and you're out. But all you have to do is push that one button. So far, though, excellent. Excellent. Lot to look out for, though. I feel like these games are giving Japanese players anxiety, though. I know you're wanting something to do while you're waiting on a car or bus. Maybe you should read a book, because I feel like this would just give you so much anxiety trying to make sure, oh gosh, no, go down here, quick, go to this side. And bear in mind, I'm showing off game mode A. Game mode B is even harder than that. And you got to move yourself around. It is really, really cool, though, playing on this gamepad that we're seeing on the left side. So yes, this is essentially a precursor to Donkey Kong 3. We're not going to see until 1983 with Stanley the Bugman. But this game is doing something, though, we have not seen before. This game is combining 2 different genres. This is a fixed platformer, which we refer to those as a platformer where you're not jumping. You're climbing ladders, you're moving around. There's no acrobatics involved. Think games like Burger Time. But it's combining a fixed platformer with a shooter, a fixed shooter. Because we're essentially having to use our bug spray to shoot things. So I'm able to go up the ladder up and down, but I'm also moving left, right, and firing. And this is one of the first to ever do that. The other fixed platformers we played have us climbing ladders, crouching, and of course if they're jumping, we call them arcade platformers, like Donkey Kong. But this one is a fixed platformer where I'm actually shooting stuff, or maybe warding things away from things. So cool. We have a combination of a new game. It also has an insect theme. Insects and arachnids part of the game. It has the classic arcade gaming loop. We're sort of doing farming or gardening, even though all we're doing is spraying stuff. And it does have an overlay that's assisting the gameplay. So the black and white is the LCD display, but it is covered over with an overlay as well. And the gamepad's awesome. We saw this first with Donkey Kong, the Nintendo Game & Watch handheld. And then Mickey and Donald had the gamepad or the plus controller, but they separated. They separated the up and down and the left and right, but it's essentially the same idea. But we also saw King Kong, a handheld by Tiger, do the same thing. They ripped off the patent or copyright that Nintendo had. I wonder if there's a lawsuit involved. I don't know, but I just know we've seen that control on another handheld that was not Nintendo, and it only should be Nintendo right now. The other thing to note is this kind of view. What we're looking at is a multi-screen game, because that's what Nintendo has. Multi-screen is the name of the Game & Watch series. We have seen multi-screen video games within other games up to this point. And I'm not just saying the other Nintendo multi-screen games. When I say multi-screen, I mean the game you're playing is taking place on multiple screens. You're controlling multiple screens or working with multiple screens. Because right now there is games that you could play on terminal, like Maze War, where you and a friend are doing a pseudo deathmatch, if it were, or Snipes is another game where you could do deathmatch and play on multiple screens, but one person has their own screen, you have your own screen. That's not what I mean. This is two different screens and you're playing on both screens. This is not the only thing that's done that. We have seen a few other games. Subs was one of the first in the arcades that has you playing and looking at multiple screens. Fire 1 in the arcade is another example, and Baby Pac-Man. It had a screen for the pinball side. It had the screen for Baby Pac-Man. Oh, go up here, quick! Get the inchworms. And then soon in 1983, I think we're going to see Punch-Out in the arcades, and that one uses two screens. But I don't know what that is because it's only December 1982. Well, I'm loving it. And now we get the chance to review and think of all the handhelds you could be playing right now in December 1982. Of everything that's available at this point, what would you give Greenhouse? Now, usually you think of this gameplay and quality against everything that could be possible on other systems. That's why we only rate this against every other handheld that's available. We have played the Dungeons & Dragons handheld, the Tron handheld. There's some kind of impressive LCD or vacuum fluorescent display handhelds that are available right now. And Greenhouse is still very quaint, but still really fun. And I gotta give props to the control. Using the cross or plus is fantastic. Alrighty. There you go. That is Greenhouse. Looking over in the chat, I got some people throwing out mostly averages for handhelds up to this point. 2.5 to 3 stars. 3 stars from Jeremiah, 3.5 from James, Brian saying 3.5. So mostly above averages for everybody up to this point. We gave Donkey Kong 5 to give you a good perspective. Of all the handhelds, it was cream of the crop. I mean, also we played Donkey Kong Jr. as a handheld too. It's very well done. Because this one's combining the two different genres and because of the quality of handhelds, and because I would want this now, I'm actually going to go 4. Of all the handhelds you could play right now, Greenhouse is an excellent handheld. It's one to collect. The other multi-watch games we played, I mean, the Mickey and Donald one, it was okay. But honestly, I think that this one's just slightly better. So I'm going to go from 3.5 for Mickey and Donald to 4 stars for this one, but not as good as the 4.5 or 5 we gave for Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. Oh, there we go. Jay Mogler's throwing out 4 stars, and then Grimm's throwing out 4 stars. All right. Good stuff. So many games. Who knows what's going to happen? So there you go. That's where we got to put all the video game playing on pause. Hit the break key if you're on a computer, or we just ran out of quarters because if you're in the arcades. I really appreciate everyone that's here live on the show, Chronologically Gaming, seeing and experiencing the video game industry as never seen before, throwing out your ratings, becoming a Chronologically Gaming influencer, and also just revisiting these classics, revisiting this time period. It's been a blast. I also want to give a big shout out to everybody that we have supporting us on Patreon. All those supporters are making more content for Chronologically Gaming and making it possible to see more games and then keep on going. So I really appreciate that support. Well, next time on Chronologically Gaming, we begin playing the games released during December 1982, getting ever closer to video games you got on the holiday season. We will check out evolving games on the Apple II, a game called Jump Jet, and Shark! That's it for today, and like I always say, why didn't the Wizard of Odyssey release Wizard of War on the Odyssey 2? Hey everybody, thanks for checking checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and be a chronologically gaming influencer, rating the games as we play them. This video wouldn't be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and Maine. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every video game. We have links down below that give more information on the games we played this episode, as well as our Discord and Patreon. There's a link called All the Games We Have Played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.